This video will identify similarities between neurons and cells in other parts of the body. So the anatomy of neurons and glia is very similar to the anatomy of cells in other parts of the body. Neurons are similar to other cells. Neurons have membranes, and here we see that bilipid membrane. Neurons have a nucleus that we see here. They have mitochondria, which are the powerhouse of the cell, ribosomes, and endoplasmic reticulum. So many of these things you've probably heard of in biology in high school or a more recent biology class in college. So we're going to go through some of these relatively quickly. I'm going to point out the important things to know about these different components of cells and neurons. So the cell membrane, just like other cells, neurons have a membrane that separates the inside of the cell, or the intracellular fluid, from the outside of the cell, or the extracellular fluid. And so again, so these are these two bilipid molecules, or two lipid molecules. So it's a bilipid membrane. And this is a membrane. And this membrane will become important as we go on and we start talking about the action potential and other things. So it's important to understand that when we go on and talk about the parts of a neuron, that all those parts of a neuron have this membrane. So it's separating the inside of the neuron from the outside cellular environment. Again, it's a lipid bilayer, and it's that lipid that keeps that separation going. And we're going to talk a lot about different proteins that become inserted into the membrane and have different jobs within the neuron. Again, just like other cells, we have a nucleus. So the nucleus contains those chromosomes, much like we were talking about earlier in earlier videos. And those are going to determine, again, those chromosomes are going to determine what type of neuron it is, how long the axon is, how many dendrites it has, what's the location of that neuron, what neurotransmitters does it produce. The mitochondria. The mitochondria are very important in neurons because neurons use a lot of energy, as we saw in previous videos. So the mitochondria produce the metabolic activities and provides energy that the cell requires. And so I'm not going to go through all the different ins and outs of the mitochondria and the complexes and whatnot, but just be aware that the mitochondria is what provides that energy using glucose, oxygen, and thymine to process that glucose. And as a result, there's also some of these byproducts that can be toxic to the cells. Ribosomes, just like in other parts of the cells, the ribosomes synthesize the new proteins, and the endoplasmic reticulum is going to transport those proteins to their new location. We won't talk as much about ribosomes and endoplasmic reticulum this semester, but it's important to understand that that is important in protein synthesis.